Okay, so have you heard about this whole intermittent fasting thing?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's super popular right now.
Yeah, and some of the claims are kind of wild,
Yeah,
right? Like, it's going to make you lose a ton of weight and think better.
definitely a lot of hype out there for sure.
So that's what we're diving into today. Intermittent fasting, or IF, as the cool kids call it.
Right.
We really want to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
Is it truly revolutionary or just another fad diet?
Yeah, great question.
And to help us unpack all this, we have a leading expert in nutrition and wellness,
Well, thanks for having me.
of course. So maybe let's start with, what exactly is intermittent fasting?
So it's not about what you eat.
Okay.
It's about when you eat.
Interesting.
So it's this sort of like, cycling between periods of eating and voluntary fasting.
So like skipping a meal.
Yeah, exactly like that.
Okay, interesting. And there are different like methods or ways to do this right.
Exactly.
Like what are some of the popular ones we hear about all the time?
So there's the 168 method, which is basically you're fasting for 16 hours and you have like an 8-hour eating window.
Okay.
So, you might finish dinner at like 8 p.m. and then, skip breakfast and have your first meal at noon the next day.
Gotcha. So no midnight snacking with that one, huh?
Exactly.
What about some of the other methods?
Yeah. So another popular one is the 5.2 method. And that's where you eat normally for 5 days a week, and then you significantly reduce your calories for 2 non-consecutive days.
Okay.
And then there's also OMAD, which stands for 1 meal a day.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, so all your calories are consumed in a single meal.
So hold on. That means like you just eat one meal and that's it for the whole day.
That's the idea.
Okay, so my mind is kind of blown right now.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this weight loss claim that everyone's talking about.
Sure.
Right? It's like the big thing with IOHF.
Yeah.
Is it really a magic bullet or is there more to it?
Well, nothing's really magic, but
Yeah.
IHF can be a really effective tool.
Okay.
Fasting itself doesn't like magically burn fat, but it can lead to a calorie deficit,
Which is,
essential for weight loss.
right. Calorie deficit. That makes sense.
But there's also this really interesting aspect where IF might actually improve your insulin sensitivity.
Okay, now insulin sensitivity. That's a big word.
Yeah.
Break that down for me a little bit.
Yeah.
Why is that a good thing?
Yeah, so basically when your cells are more responsive to insulin, they can actually utilize glucose for energy more effectively.
Okay.
So that means less sugar is getting stored as fat, which can be a big win for weight management.
Oh, okay. So it's not just eating less. It's actually like helping your body process things better.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
What about those hunger pangs, though?
Yeah.
Like if you're someone who is used to, eating throughout the day,
Yeah.
and then you're suddenly like cutting back and doing these fasting periods, are you gonna be like starving all the time?
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
But actually, fasting can help regulate these hunger hormones like ghrelin,
Okay.
which is what's responsible for those like intense hunger pangs. Yeah.
So you might actually find that you're naturally feeling less hungry and, finding it easier to eat less overall.
Okay, that's really interesting. So potential win-win on like the weight management side of things.
Yeah.
But what about brain function? This is the other big claim, right? Like IMF can make you smarter.
It's a popular one.
That's the truth there.
Well, it's probably not going to turn you into a genius overnight.
Okay.
But there's actually some really interesting research on this.
Yeah.
Fasting might actually increase BDNF or brain-derived neurotrophic factor.
Okay. Another big word. Break that down for me.
Yeah, so BDNF is essentially like fertilizer for your brain cells.
Okay.
It helps them to grow, it helps them connect, it helps them function at their best.
So wait, you're saying that just by changing when I eat, I could potentially like boost my brain power?
Potentially, yeah.
That's really fascinating. Okay, so more on these brain benefits.
Yeah.
What else is there?
Well, there's also a potential link between IF and a reduced risk of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's.
Wow. And so it's thought that fasting might stimulate autophagy, which is like a cellular cleanup process.
Okay.
So your cells are basically getting rid of damaged components, and that could potentially have some really protective effects on the brain.
So Ike is like a 2-for-1 deal for the brain.
Yeah.
It could boost cognitive function and protect against disease.
That's the idea.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
This is really interesting stuff. But, I got to ask about the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Muscle loss.
Mm-hmm.
People are afraid that when they're fasting, their body's just going to start, like, breaking down muscle for energy.
Right.
What's the truth about that?
So that's actually a really common misconception.
Okay.
Your body's actually really smart about how it uses energy.
Okay.
It prioritizes fat as fuel before it starts turning to your muscle tissue.
Okay, that's a relief.
Yeah.
So all those hours at the gym are not going to go to waste.
Exactly.
What about human growth hormone? I've heard that that plays a role in all of this too, with muscle preservation.
Yeah, absolutely. So fasting can actually trigger the release of HGH. And that helps to preserve your muscle mass while you're burning fat.
Wow. Okay, so it's like a friend, not a foe to our muscles.
Exactly.
Okay, but let's shift gears a little bit and talk about safety.
Sure.
Hair sounds amazing, but is it safe for everyone?
It's a really important question, and honestly, it's not for everyone.
Okay.
So, if you have certain conditions like diabetes or eating disorders,
Yeah.
or if you're taking certain medications, you really want to talk to your doctor before you try eye.
That makes sense.
It's really about finding what works for your body.
And I've heard that women's hormones can be particularly sensitive to fasting.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe they need like a modified approach.
Exactly. They might need shorter fasting windows or less frequent fasting days.
Right.
It's all about listening to your body and finding what feels right for you.
And speaking of listening to your body,
Yeah.
there's this myth out there that you can eat whatever you want during your eating window.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that one.
So like if I'm doing 168, can I just crush a whole pizza during my 8 hours and still be good?
I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay.
Processed foods, sugary drinks, and just excess calories are still going to contribute to weight gain and health problems.
Okay.
Even if you're, restricting those eating hours.
So it's not a free pass to just like indulge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Intermittent fasting really works best when it's combined with a healthy, balanced diet, rich in whole, unprocessed foods.
So it sounds like NF isn't like a magic solution, but it's also not a complete fad.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it.
It's just like somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Okay.
It can be a really helpful tool for weight loss, brain health, and longevity.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not a magic bullet,
Right.
And it
Yeah.
works best when it's combined with a healthy diet and lifestyle,
Right.
Listen to your body and, if needed, consult a professional.
Yeah, absolutely. Great points. So as we wrap up here, we've learned a lot about ENF,
Yeah,
some potential benefits, some things to consider.
definitely.
So for you listening out there, what are your takeaways? What aspects of IF intrigue you the most? Does it sound like something you might want to explore further? Knowledge is power, and this deep dive is really just a starting point.
Right.
So keep researching, keep asking questions, and decide if IF is right for your health journey.
Exactly.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me.